wanna do great and they talk bad on you. No need, no face, cause they're not factual. I won't stay too long here, I'm just passing through. I might hit the bank and get a bag or two. My mama asked me why you got that cash on you. Second you switch up, they might get mad at you. No, you're not my friend, so no, I'm taxing you. You all like my sons, I'm going dad on you. Okay, good job.
That little trick is so simple, but it will really maximize your split and maximize the hypertrophy that will come with it.
I just call my brother babe. This is like a
Welcome to today's vlog. Today's vlog we are going to run through a push session. I have to say it very slow, otherwise it sounds like push session. Anyway, we're going to do it in a similar style as we did the upper and the pull session a few vlogs back. But without further ado, welcome to push. It's going to be like a chest focused push, so we are going to do a few movements of chest first, then triceps, then delts, and then a little bit of calves because my calves suck. Anyway, one thing to really consider when setting up your microcycle, which is your week, so your split, is where push is in the kind of microcycle. A lot of people have lagging chests, and they tend to put like pull at the start of the week, which I do because I've got a lagging chest and lagging back and my chest is okay, whereas other people are kind of vice versa, but they'll kind of prioritize their really strong part and not necessarily their weak part. Also, with a pull session, you would be very, very surprised how much kind of DOMs you're creating kind of to your lat and how much it would impact kind of a chest workout, right? Now for me, I am quite strategic with my programming. So what I would do is at the start of the week, I will kind of have a horizontal focus pull, and then I will have a chest session. And then later on down the line, later on down the week, I will have a kind of the vertical pull element. So yeah, that's definitely something to consider. But anyway, we're going to warm up here, and then we have three working sets of this. We've got one loading set, two back offs. You have to really warm up here because it is -1. I'm not gonna play any music because I get copyrighted. Last time I did the pool session, I got copyrighted to shit. Come on, you fucking pussy. Come on. Yes. Come on. It's fucking easy. Yes. Oh. Good. Yeah, come on, here we go. That's the money. Oh, you bastard. Oh, Jesus. Today is quite a girthy session, but anyway, so we warmed up, then we did one set at 7 to 10. We're about to do our back off, which I'll pick the 10 off and put a 5 on. Got two back offs at the 10 to 20. A lot of my chest work is above 10 reps, and there's a simple factor, and that is that my chest kind of really reacts well to above 10 reps. Anything sub 10, I don't get the same muscle disruption, soreness, pump, etc. Anything above 10, it seems to kind of grow, which is good. But that's something that you could take into your own training, like what rep ranges suit what movement or what muscle group, etc. So like for instance, like biceps, you wouldn't really go to like a 6 to 8 rep range. So normally wouldn't react very well, although if you try it for a couple of sets, seems okay. But in the long term, probably not the best. It'll probably affect like your pulling. So yeah, just kind of have a little play around with rep ranges. Come on. Yes. Here we go. Come on. Yeah, come on. Come on. Go for it. Yeah. That scares the shit out of me every time I rack. That was the second set of the 10 to 20, the back off set, but Jesus, man. Fried. Some would say Woxton Floxton. One thing that is kind of overplayed in the fitness industry is kind of the range of motion chat, right? Like, I have a fairly good range of motion, I would say, for the most part. Like, I can get in quite deep positions. I can get in quite kind of deep positions with kind of my pressing, my squats, etc. But I would always say, like, number one, if you're doing a movement like this, and people will say like, oh yeah, an incline press has the highest stimulus and blah, 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 blah. So it's cool. If it's causing you niggles or if it hurts, then just don't do it. Also, if you're quite stubborn, realize that if you go to your chest and it's hurting, then you might want to kind of go really kind of slightly above. So I would always say, go to the range of motion that suits you. That might not be quote unquote textbook full range of motion. It could be like your active range. And we can go into active range and full range of motion maybe in another vlog. But yeah, I definitely think people are they're not very nuanced in their trail of thought. They're quite dogmatic. But here we are open-minded. So basically, do a movement or have a movement in that doesn't cause you any niggles. If it does, then maybe adapt the range of motion. About to get real ghetto here. So I had a chest press program for ages, and this is the variation that I came up with. So it aligns very nicely with how the pec runs. Now what would you call this? Like the cable doesn't go up and down, so I can't necessarily move it like I can in a normal gym. I can just move all the kind of pulleys around. I can't here. So the only thing I can do is kind of maneuver the kind of angle of the bench and then try and get my pec in line as best as possible, and that seems to have worked, so good. I really like having a pressing movement, so you would have kind of like a bench press, for example. That would be a very good example of just having like just a pressing movement for chest. But I also really love having a converging movement in for chest. So something that converges is something that comes from here inwards. So something like this is absolutely perfect. It's not absolutely perfect. It will do for now. But in a gym, if you ever have like a machine press that kind of comes wide and then comes in, don't be crude. But if it converges in, utilize it as much as possible and do that alongside kind of a normal press. I'm thinking about here as well is elbows high. As soon as you let your elbows kind of tuck in, it's more like a front delt movement. But yeah, typically I see two things wrong with people's chest training, and I think I mentioned this in the actual chest training vlog I did a few months back. Two things. Number one, they don't dig in their scaps so much, so when they're doing something like a fly, they're kind of just hunching over like this and doing flies like this. So they kind of come into this kind of movement, which is great, and then all of a sudden they kind of crouch in, and it's just hitting the front delt. And number two, yeah, like having kind of really like low elbows. So again, it's just hitting the front delt, which is great if you want absolutely absolutely massive front delts. But if you want a big titty, or big titties, it'd be weird if you have two. I mean one. But if you want big nipples, if you want big pecs, then don't do them too. So we're done. We're done with the chest portion of this push session, and now we're into triceps, which is going to be dumbbell skull crushers, and they're going to be performed at a 15 to 20 rep range. But these are a little bit naughty. So one good thing about structuring your program in this way, so I have a chest movement, a chest movement, a chest movement. Notice I didn't have any flies in there. The reason being is that kind of machine press kind of emulates a little fly action. So you definitely don't need it in every single time you hit chest. But yeah, so right now my triceps are like pretty warm. So there'll be little point in having like chest, maybe like delts, tricep, right? You might as well attack the triceps now they're warm, especially in a cold garage gym, right? You might as well attack them whilst you've got blood there. Reason being as well, because the SFR actually is quite favorable right now. So how I would structure a program would be having like a chest, tricep, delts, right? So yeah, so that's what we're doing now. Again, 2 sets of these, 15 to 20 rep range. But these are naughty. I would really say like a really mandatory movement for triceps is always going to be something overhead. I think people, when they assume triceps, is always like a tricep push down or something like this. But something that's overhead, you're missing some gold if you don't have a tricep movement that's kind of above the head. Whether that's kind of like a crossover cable, whether that's something like a skull crusher or anything like that, I definitely think you'll be missing something in terms of tricep development if you don't have something like that in. So yeah, my advice would be to do both, tricep push down and then overhead. A very cool thing to do with this. So we're going to do a D-handled tricep push down. A very cool thing that I've been doing and I've been telling clients to do as well when they're doing D-handles, and they're doing it in the gym as well, is get these, like they're like 1-inch clip things, right? And what you would do is you'd buy 4 of them, and you'd have a clip here, you'd have the D-handle, and then you kind of just lock it in. It's the same as what I did with the chest press, but you kind of lock it in. The reason being is that the reason why we do D-handle is so your wrist can move freely. But this is the same kind of reference every single time, right? See, sometimes you could approach a set and it's kind of like here, sometimes you could approach a set and it could be like here, but if you just have it in the same place for all sets, you might not get it bang on each and every single workout, but at least you've got it for the sets that you're doing. So yeah, very simple fix, but it's cool. So this is going to be a tricep push down, which is going to be in a 10 to 20 rep range. So we did, again, the tricep, I suppose it would be a, what would they be, like a dumbbell skull crusher. So overhead in the 15 to 20, and now we're going to go for this. Jesus, I love this movement. I need my hat off though, really. Oh. But you see, it's allowing my wrist to move freely, so I could come in this position here, and then when I come down, I'm kind of rotating. Whereas with a normal bar, you can't necessarily do that unless you bend it in half, which, you know, I'm natural, so I can't do that. Good. Come on. Wow. So I've got 3 points of doing this vlog, by the way, is really hard because you're consistently like out of breath and you're trying to talk. Anyway, I want 3 points of contact here. Number 1 is going to be here. Number 2, my foot or my feet. And number 3 is going to actually be my ass against the wall. With a lot of tricep extensions, you're kind of like in this kind of free kind of motion, as it were. So sometimes you're like this and you're pressing down and you're kind of like throwing your back out, trying to kind of press down, and then you're kind of moving your erectors up and down. Erectors, by the way, not erection. Whereas as here, you could really kind of stick your ass into the wall, and maybe you can put something there if you're that way inclined. But you can really kind of have your ass against the wall. You can really drive your heels into the ground, and you can really kind of force produce with your triceps. So yeah, Jesus, it's actually one of my favorite movements, hands down, or hands up and hands down. Do you know what's really funny as well? Not really funny, but my phone, because it's so cold in here, it's actually -3 right now. My phone is so cold that it switches off. So half the time I don't know what the weights I was doing last time. If you've ever been in that kind of predicament, you could do like kind of feeder sets or feeler sets, and what they would do is basically you would ideally remember the rep range, which I actually do, so that's good. The last 3 movements are all, or the last 4 movements are all 10 to 20 rep range. But you would then kind of pick a weight. You would have a look at the reps that you need to do. You would assess the RER. You would do like 1 or 2 reps and then just assess whether you can get into the rep range. If you can, then obviously go for it. And then if you fall outside of the rep range, up or down, obviously the next set, presuming you have a next set, you can adjust. But yeah, but it's so cold in here. I'm wearing this like really thin layered t-shirt. What you do for YouTube, eh? We are we're done with the tricep. We're done with triceps now. Our triceps are waxed and floxed. So we're now onto the delt portion of the workout. We basically have 2 sets of the cable lat raise, and then we have 2 of rear delt focus work. So this is going to be the 2 sets of the med delt. Wow, 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 wow. Again, the first portion of the workout is around 1 or 2 aria. The back end is going to be nearly like 1 to 0. And I'll basically run that until the last week of my mesocycle, and then everything kind of switches to around like 0. And then I'll throw in some kind of intensity techniques in the back end of this, or back end of the week. So for example, like this, I will get Ollie to kind of just strip some weights off and we'll just do like drop sets. Alternatively, I'll do like a Maya rep kind of scheme, which is basically like a drop set or rest pause, rest pause set. But yeah, nothing's really like too technical with my training. I definitely have got too technical with my training at some points in my training career, and that's definitely when I was the smallest. But I think that most programs should be somewhat complex, but also not overly complex for sure. They should be quite simple to its very root. They should obviously abide by the training principles, etc., which they do, thankfully. So cold in here, man. Holy moly. So that was 2 sets of the cable lat raise. 10 to 20, again, 0 RER. Now we're going to move on to the rear delt variation. You can like superset a few things, and I kind of almost lost balance then. I kind of don't necessarily advise supersets that much, but there's a few circumstances where I would say, look, they're kind of okay. Number one, you're a female, and that's not being sexist in any way, but a female's ability to recover in between like each set is absolutely phenomenal. So they could actually kind of get away with, especially if they've got kind of a short amount of time, supersets are very favourable. Number two, in a cold gym. And you just kind of have to get it done. And if adherence is the issue, that's where I'll kind of say, look, let's do a few kind of supersets. But yeah, I'm not going to do supersets, even though I'm absolutely Baltic. But rear delt rows, these are going to be like the only ones that really light up my my rear delts. But in any case, 10 to 20 reps. So you kind of want to stretch out the rear delt and find where it is. It's a very small muscle group. There you go. So you'll notice, you'll notice my kind of lumbar is quite rounded there, and that's the only real movement that I would actually quote unquote recommend, or say it's okay for the lumbar to be that rounded, purely for the fact that it's not taking much load, and the amount of stretch you're going to get right at the bottom of that rear delt row is going to be kind of phenomenal. And stretch under load is one of the kind of key drivers of hypertrophy, obviously mechanical tension. So yeah, that's kind of the only reason why I curve the lumbar there. That was the second set of the rear delt rows. What I was going to say, the reason why I do that instead of the face pull, I've never really connected with a face pull ever, and I don't know why, but yeah, just never connected with a face pull. You will get the movements as well, but some people are like, they fucking love it, and some people just do not connect with it, which is why I like cookie cutter programs. Whilst a lot of it can abide by the training principles, there'll be like little tiny pieces that just won't. I am saying that because I have actually created a training template that will go live when the gyms reopen, which is cool. I've spent a lot of time on it, and again, it will cover all bases. Like, it will probably get you jacked, right? But there'll just be certain things in there that you might not kind of all get on with. I think for the most part, it will get you jacked, but there'll just be like really subtle changes you'll need to make. That being said, you can actually do it yourself because it's built like that. And to finish off this workout, I'm going to do calves. I'm not going to film it because calf raises are very boring to film. However, if you have enjoyed the start of this vlog, I do have other vlogs exactly like this, so I'll revert you to there. But in any case, I hope you're all well. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll speak to you in the next vlog.